God Moments Testimonies by Pastor Lydia Koranteng. I have another question for you, Pastor Lydia. Among the testimonies that you have in your book, what testimony had inspired you the most?
So, yes, among all the testimonies in my book, what has inspired me the most? It's got to be chapters 4 and 5 about the visa, going to Ghana on an airplane, British Airways flight without a visa. It's got to be God. It's got to be the same God who inspired me to write the book. So I'm going to try and sort of break it in chunks to make it sound more palatable to our listeners. And so it happened that I had prepared for nearly a year to visit Ghana. Every year I go to Ghana with various missions on my mind, directed by God. And in 2009, the Lord had directed me to prepare to go to Ghana and train the Baptist churches that we'd been working with within the years. We had decided to bring all of them together under one roof to do a training program which we called a new generation leaders training program. And this involved 18 Baptist churches. So as you can see, a young woman felt called to lead a team of, leaders within the various Baptist churches, to embark on a program like that. It wasn't a mean, feat. So for me, a lot of work had gone into it, a lot of preparation involving all the pastors in those churches. And then come that day when I was due to fly, surprise, surprise, my husband, who everybody knows Abraham, is very organized, and I mean it with every letter of the word, that organized is his thing. He asked me on the Sunday morning to give him my passport so he could do an early check-in to smoothen my experience at the airport. Of course, I gave him the airport readily, and he opened it, and one quick look, he looked at me and said, "Aku, you have no visa." And I looked at him and I thought he was joking, because sometimes men joke at the wrong time. He said, "No, I'm not joking. You have no visa to travel to Ghana." And I thought, hang on a minute. And then it dawned on me that in the busyness, how busy, it just shows how busy we've both been preparing, we both forgot to apply for a visa that will enable me to enter into Ghana. Now, this is serious because a visa is an entry permit. It gives one permission to move from one country into another. The recipient country needs to allow you entry to be able to stay there for any length of time. Now, if you don't have a visa, you cannot just as a foreigner enter into a country where you would normally be required to have a visa. Therefore, it doesn't permit you to go outside the domain of the airport itself. I found myself in this situation on that Sunday morning. And to cut the long story short, as soon as Abraham said that, I felt within my spirit a name just came up, and it said, "Phone Noel." So I said to him, "I've just heard the name Noel, and we only know one person in this world called Noel. So we have to phone him." And so we phoned him. And simply put, I told him, "I'm going to Ghana tonight. I have no visa." And he said, "Okay, give me a few minutes. Put the phone down. I'll call you back." So for anyone who knows what waiting is like in a situation like this, it felt like forever. But it must have been within 5 to 10 minutes. He phoned back and said, I've just spoken to a minister, and the minister will be calling you shortly. So make yourself available. We said, okay. And so, right in our bedroom, we were there praying, and then the phone rang. And this minister, because of the sensitivity and for confidentiality, I will not mention names, but this was the Minister of Interior. He phoned and said, after listening to my problem, he said, don't worry, prepare to go to the airport and I will send a fax to authorize you to travel on the British Airways flight. I thought, is that all? I felt he made it so easy. It sounded so easy. What for me was like a mountain, he made it so easy and said, no, Mrs. Koranteng, you prepare yourself, go to the airport and ask for a fax, and I would send a fax to the airport security. So, of course, to fast forward the story, I prepared and we set off to go to the airport. I believe that the journey to the airport wasn't very easy. For those of you who will be reading the book, you would notice that I think my husband just wanted to please me by saying, you know what, I'm going to take this lady to the airport. She's going to get there and realize she can't fly and therefore come back home crying. But God had his own plans. So while we were going, our daughter, the older one, called and said, Mom, I know you're going to Ghana and I've heard the situation, but don't worry, because today our minister preached about faith, and he said sometimes faith will take us to that place of the unknown. I know that it's a difficult situation you're faced with, but by faith you will overcome. I thought these are the words I needed most at this time, and I was really pleased that God used a young daughter to speak life words into my spirit at the moment that I most needed it. So I held on to her words, we parted, and we continued our journey to the airport. Now, when we got to the airport, I presented myself at the check-in counter, and when I told the lady that, listen, I'm traveling to Ghana, I have no visa, but I'm expecting an authority note from a minister from Ghana. Could you kindly give me a fax that works and I'll send it to them and they'll be able to fax the authorization? She looked at me like I'm from a strange land. Where is this woman coming from? And long story short, she said, Madam, you step aside and I'll sort that out. So she got the airport security involved, and this tall man presented himself, made me feel so intimidated. And when I told him the story again, he looked at me strangely. And after a while, he came back with a fax number. I sent it to Ghana, and we kept praying and pacing the floor. In between the times, I don't want to tell you some of the intimidating, rather provoking, taunting, and mockery that went on. Every few minutes, this security officer came to me, taunting me and telling me, Madam, are you sure you want to fly tonight? If by so and so time we don't receive this fax, we will have to remove all your things and therefore you will not travel. The more he provoked me, the more he provoked me to prayer. The more he taunted, the more he provoked me to prayer. And I kept praying and praying and pacing and sweating. And long story short, 5 minutes to closing the counter, the check-in counter, this same man who was taunting me comes flying and raising an A4 piece of paper in his hand and waving and saying, "Look, fax is here." And I looked at him and I thought, are you kidding? And he said, "The minister has sent the fax authorizing that you fly. I don't know who you are, but hurry up quick because we're running out of time." Before you knew, all protocols were waived. They did not even weigh my suitcases. I always have an excess. I knew that. But you know what? They took me through the fastest means into the aircraft. And when I got on the flight, guess what? I got the look. Everybody was looking at me. Must have said in there, this is the lady who probably holding us down. But I must tell you, on that flight, I slept my best ever. And in fact, as part of, the answer to your question about what inspired me most, the fact that the visa testimony, it's so mind-blowing to a lot of people when they hear about me and they read it. I decided that was the only chapter that I was going to paste a picture of the visa itself as an evidence. It just shows what and how important it meant and it felt to be presenting something that looks like, an out of the ordinary experience, that it can only happen to somebody who has vividly heard from God and is acting on faith. I was just being propelled on the wings of faith to do what I did to get onto that flight that night to Ghana. And therefore, when you read the book, you would see the picture of a visa that had been posted in there that was specific to the testimony to encourage somebody out there who needs to know that God still speaks. God still speaks. So my message to you in this clip is to have faith in God. He still speaks.
I'm sure that a lot of people out there would like to have a copy of God Moments Testimonies. So could you please let us know, Pastor Lydia, how to get a copy of your book?
The God Moments Testimonies book is available in print via Amazon and via Kindle as well, as ebooks. And only just recently, last December, it was accepted by ACX, and it's therefore available on Audible. Yes, you heard right, on Audible. And so for those, who are quite happy to, not read, but to listen to the book read to you, we had a beautiful narrator, Jackie Greer, and she reads so beautifully, and that made our Audible version also very popular among such readers.
Lastly, I would like to thank Pastor Lydia for letting me use the title God Moments. And I hope that people out there, viewers out there, would be encouraged to share your God moment experiences with us. So don't forget to leave your comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you and God bless you. Do remember that God is always with us, and He will never leave us nor forsake us.